Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. So this is my review, my re-review of Westworld Season 2. I've seen it 2 times now, and that's, I would say, the absolute minimum you need to both understand and appreciate it. The thing with Westworld, I really find true, is it's something that takes a lot of work to access and get. Well, I mean, it takes a lot of work for me and with my meager little brain, but I think it has to take a lot of work to be able to access and find out what the core story is. And I did that, and I found out the core story is brilliant beyond brilliant. So I went into Season 2, the first time I watched it. Season 2 was the reason why I kind of fell out of love with Westworld. I said, oh, it's gone woke! It's gone woke! Now, what is woke? It's something I always like to try and define the term. It's the platforming of ideology on a existent, successful franchise. So the wokeness I thought that was in this, and when was this? 2017, when it was really starting to boil up, was the feminism, right? How women are always deeply oppressed by the Western world, and it was going down at the same time as Me Too. Now, Me Too just kind of annoyed the crap out of me because we've all known about the sexual abuses in Hollywood and entertainment industry for years, called the casting couch. We've all known about that, but there was an expose about what's it called again? What? Because we're given the W. I can't remember his name. I'm glad. It's always a Jewish name. It's so embarrassing. It's always Weinstein, Harvey Weinstein, right? So there was an expose about him published. The reason why it was published is because Hillary Clinton lost the 2016 election, and she extended her political influence to have these stories of deep abuse and, as it turns out, rape covered up, right? So Hollywood was caught with their pants down, right? Quite literally. And their response was, oh my God, men are the worst! Men, oh, men are terrible, men are the worst. No, mate. You, Hollywood, DC, Washington, you are the worst. Normal human beings don't do this, right? I think most normative human beings like monogamy. And I know it sounds weird, but we are happier as that. I don't want to cheat on my wife or abuse her. I don't want to do any of that stuff. Why? Other than I think it's morally wrong, I think that is will lead me to not being happy. Right? That's the bottom line. Most people have this. It's called morality. These moral guidelines built in. You don't have that so much in the entertainment community. So they gaslit the entire world, saying it's men that are the problem. No, it's us. And I felt that. Infected Season 2. Upon reflection, I was totally wrong. I think I was totally wrong. I think this is the absolute organic continuation of the story from Season 1. In fact, I think it's the vital continuation. So Season 1 brought you up to the beginning of the story, which was this season. And this season executed it, and also added a springboard to get to Season 3, which is qualitatively different. Reason why I've been rushing to try and get to record this review is because I just started rewatching Season 3, and I'm loving it, but I can't get too deep into it because then I'll forget Season 2, and it's very, very complicated, and I think complicated to its own detriment. See, the problem Season 2 was wrestling with was the storytelling structure in Season 1 was insanely good, very, very, very clever, and really, really worked. You had, the main character, the man in black, the evil bad guy, and this nicer person at the park called Billy. You found out they are one and the same, and it was being told over several time zones. Very, very, very clever. So they did something similar with Season 2, less successfully, right? Far less successfully. How do I know? Because I worked it out on one viewing in Season 1, and it took me 2 viewings and reading a lot on Season 2 to be able to piece together the patchwork quilt that was the narrative. That being said, the underlying narrative remains superb, remains brilliant, brilliant beyond brilliant. I'm just so amazed how much I didn't realize it, right? I really genuinely didn't realize how great the underlying narrative is. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Before we get into it, can you hit the like button, the share button, the subscribe button? All those things are so good. Oh, so very good. It makes me very, very happy. I I can't dissuade you in any way from doing those things. Sign up my Substack, my email newsletter. Sign up my paid version. It's $5 a month. Everyone's getting this graphic novel this month. It's a good one. if you like good artwork and good comics, you get that. That'll be fan dabby double dozies. Comment. Let me know what you think. These are all important things. So thinking is really what Westworld is about. I think that was the core idea. So I'm going to have a lot of visual aids because you need a lot of visual aids. So I would say the underlying core of the story is the creation of a new life form. So we've all played video games, and you have characters that have AI, like artificial intelligence, where they're programmed to do this if that happens and that if this, X if Y and Y. They have a loop that they go on and they loops they go on. It's what they live by, right? Which essentially is the same for human beings as well, which is what they get more into in season 3. So there is also an element of improvisation built into these AIs. If you say, "Come with," if you come with me and we'll go somewhere different, and they have to do what you say, essentially, then they start improvising, and that improvisation is based on their core drive. So the question is, at what point does that become sentient life, right? At what point does that decision-making process become an independent thought? Which I find an absolutely fascinating question. So the first season was driven by, I would say, this image over here, this maze. I think the first season was subtitled The Maze. So the maze is the way that these artificial intelligences, the robots in Westworld, gain sentience. In a way, one of the very many clever bits in it, you had one of the characters, not Bernard, Arnold, right? Arnold explaining to one of the robots, and if you don't know anything about Westworld, I'm going to fill you in season 1 in a second. One of the robots about what the climb for sentience is, and at first he thought it was like a triangle. You had memory and core drives, memory and improvisation, but it never worked, right? Never worked. Then so he realizes actually, rather than a pyramid, it's a maze to within, to find that voice within yourself, right? And to eventually work out the voice driving you is none other than your own voice, and that point is sentience, right? And I love that idea. I really love that idea, and I think it's true in human beings. I think it's true in robots. And we see this image appeared over and over and over again, and I think to great effect, right? Generally speaking, to great effect. So, what is Westworld? I didn't fill you in. Westworld is, from a Michael Crichton, certainly movie, I think maybe a novel as well, about a theme park full of robots where you can go and pretend that you're in the Old West, and the robots all have this artificial intelligence. In the original one, there was they described it as a virus, right? And this was in the 70s. It blew my mind, the idea of a computer virus making these robots go crazy and become brutal and homicidal, right? So that was essentially. So in the theme park, you had, in the original one, you had 3 worlds. You had Westworld, Roman world, and medieval world, and they all kind of went bonkers and started killing the guests at the same time. So that was the original novel or movie. It was definitely a movie starring Yul Brynner. Was it a novel as well? I don't know. So that's the springboard that this was created from. So the entire first part of the season was leading up to the robots discovering self-awareness, and what they want to do with that self-awareness is kill their overlords, their human overlords. And that's where we start with season 2, right? So we start with season 2. The story is always, I would say, the story of the main character, Dolores, who's, if not the first, one of the very first robots created. In the first season, we see this character Dolores having these intense conversations with Arnold, who we think is another character called Bernard, and how this character discovers self-awareness. Arnold is one of the creators of the robots. He created it along with what's his name? Ford, but what's the name of the actor that we all know? Man, I can't remember his name. It'll come back to me as I finish recording this video. Anyway, but he's fantastic in it. And they created together, Arnold and Ford, and Ford discovers that their creations will inevitably become sentient and self-aware. Right. So this is, I mean, if Arnold said sentient and self-aware, and he tries to. He commits suicide by having one of the robots, Dolores, kill him. But he's trying to wipe out this species because he knows they're going to be permanently enslaved, right? So this character we're seeing on screen now isn't really Arnold. It is a robot version of Arnold made by Ford. And again, oh man, it's killing me. I can't remember his bloody name. Not Dennis. I just kept Dennis Hopper going in my head, and it's not Dennis Hopper. I know it's not Dennis Hopper, but you know what? I'm just gonna look. I'm gonna look it up as I'm recording this. I think that's probably the best way. We'll do Westworld cast season 1. We'll just do season 1 because he'll probably be the headline there. No, I don't even see. Where is he? It's insane. Hang on. Anthony Hopkins. Oh, that was so painful. That was so painful trying to remember his name. Anyway, I remember his name. Anthony Hopkins creates this. And then one of the things we find out in this season is that there are these many conversations that this character, Bernard, this robot Bernard, has with Dolores. And we're thinking that it's really Arnold talking to Dolores, but really it's Dolores talking to Arnold, and she creates Arnold. She creates Bernard based on her deep memory of Arnold, which is a cute idea, it's a clever idea. But as I'm saying it, I'm realizing it's a little bit too complicated for its own good, right? It's like it kind of just detracts everywhere. But essentially, we have many different time zones going on at once in season 2. Starts off so about a week later, after the robots have revolted, and a security team comes in and is trying to mop up, headed by this guy. So he finds Arnold. He finds Bernard. Bernard knows he's a robot now, but he doesn't want to tell them he's a robot because that might work out badly for him, right? That indeed might work out badly. So he's trying to piece out what's going on, and also we have the similar time zone of as the robot revolution was happening. And it's all that stuff's fantastic. Of all the guests being chased, there's a great trailer for season 2 with I won't say Jennifer Jason Leigh. Dolores is Jennifer Jason Leigh, or is it no, Evan Rachel Wood? I'm sorry, I just find them somewhat interchangeable. And I don't want to riding on a horse with a big shotgun and a band of ammunition, across shooting park guests with the next to the soundtrack of I Want to Be Free, right? I want to be free. And it's fantastic, right? It's absolutely fantastic. And there's a lot in this season which is absolutely freaking fantastic. The other storyline which I really enjoy in this is Tandy Newton. Just incredible, right? Incredible. It's very, very... The incredible thing in Tandy Newton, very, very sexy without being objectified. And I think it's just because she's so incredibly smart. She's such a good actress. So she's another robot who has become self-aware. So it's... do I have all the pictures here I want? I just downloaded. There was another character who we're going to need to talk about later. I think it's on my desktop. Where did I put them? Hang on. Is this it? No, is that it? Where'd it go? I know where they are. 1 second. They're in this folder over here. I go over here. Go to my desktop. I've got a folder saying Westworld. There you go. Found it. And now, there we go. We want these two as well. So again, Tandy Newton, fantastic beyond fantastic. There's been a lot of talk about there needs to be a black female James Bond. I'm not sure I entirely agree, but if there is, Tandy Newton is the person to play it. Tandy is just absolutely freaking incredible in this. Man, this is just not opening up at all. Maybe if I do that. Oh, there he goes. Fine. So fine. We have this and this character as well. This character comes out the blue from absolutely nowhere. There he is, and this is him in his war paint. He has a whole episode devoted to him. He's essentially an NPC, a non-playing character who becomes self-aware. And you see how he has this kind of beautiful life, right? As they're setting up the park, but then they reprogram him to be like this very, very scary engine that kills lots of people. As the next time I woke up, I was breathing fire. It's just a fantastic episode of a slow climb to self-awareness, right? Or climb, or search through this maze of self-awareness. Fantastic performances, all the way through. Tandy Newton's character, however, she's on this. She goes on the. I think perhaps the most successful side quest of the whole series, with Lee Sizemore, who is the kind of awful script writer who's in charge of all the narratives, and the two tech people who she woke up with, whose names escape me. Right, there's this bloke and that bloke, right? And they go on this little again side quest, and they end up in Samurai World, which is a cheap knockoff, more violent knockoff of Westworld. So you see the same narratives being played out with a different skin, for want of a better word. But again, that whole section is fantastic. The whole samurai section just knocks it out of the water. Just trying to find here's some images for it, and it's really weird because we got like these characters. The woman in front, blonde woman in front, has a snake tattoo on it, and there's a Chinese or a Japanese version of her. There's a gunslinger. There's a Japanese version of him, played by this bloke who plays every Japanese person in Hollywood now, right? If there's got to be some kind of Oriental character, it's always him, and he's always freaking awesome. So the sword play and the samurai stuff, awesome beyond awesome, right? It's so freaking good. It's so excellent. Tandy Newton's opposite number is the geisha. And they have this whole involved plot that they go on. It's essentially a side quest, but so enjoyable, right? So insanely enjoyable. At the same time, as the robot revolution are happening, this is good news for Ed Harris's Man in Black, right? But he's a very nihilistic figure, and basically he believes in survival of the fittest. Yeah, the strongest person goes down last, right? And he is the I would say the villain of the piece, but he's also the catalyst that drives Dolores to self-awareness over it, because he has an adventure when he's younger with her, played by this guy who I have no idea who he is, but he's called Billy then, and he goes on an adventure and she becomes self-aware, right? And then when he sees again, she's not self-aware, and he develops this like hatred, this deep hatred of her, right? Because she doesn't know what she is, right? So Billy's got a interesting little plot. We go more into his life. He's married into Delos, the company that has bought a controlling stake in Westworld. Mr. Delos is played by this guy, and the reason they bought a controlling stake in it is because this is actually a robot of Mr. Delos, who they put his entire personality into. Towards the end of season 1, we saw that they were recording all the guest personality, and the end game is to offer people immortality as a robot version of themselves, right? But these robot versions always degrade, and they do a fidelity test. Like, they have a conversation before they die, and then they have another conversation with the robot version of them, and if it's identical, they have fidelity, right? But this is the driving point of Westworld, of the creation of the theme park, to make humanity immortal. And as a side project of that, they created a whole new life form in these robots called the host. So this, again, the storytelling of this is garbled, right? It's very garbled because you're never really sure what's happening. But another major plot point is we go to, where is it, Rajaland or something like that. We have this character who is the Man in Black's daughter, and she starts off and she's in some kind of colonial Indian land, right? Which looks kind of nice. That's probably where I would go if I was going to Westworld. I would go to that one. That one looks quite pleasant. So she's a daughter of the Man in Black, and eventually, as a robot revolution happens, she makes it to Westworld and they meet up. But ultimately, he believes that she is a robot version of her, created by Anthony Hopkins, created by Ford, to distract him from the central plot of whatever the narrative he's going after. And he kills her, right? He kills her thinking that she's not real, right? So he's tortured by that the rest of his life. The other vitally important character is Tessa Thompson as Charlotte Hale. She's the company executive who is looking for horns with Anthony Hopkins. Anthony Hopkins died at the end of season 1, but he appears somewhat in season 2 as a digital version of himself, helping out here and there. Trying to nudge the robots to independence and self-awareness. So because we have we're in two time zones for the majority of the plot, we get a big revelation about Charlotte Hale, which moves forward to the next season to be massively important. In that, in the earlier time frame, she's Charlotte Hale. In the later time frame, she's a robot made to look like Charlotte Hale. See what happened was this. Bernard, who's Bernard? Let me try to find his picture. Where is it? Bernard is essentially on a quest with Dolores. Let me find a picture of Dolores. Here's the thing: there's just too many people to flick around to, all right? And he thinks Dolores wants to ultimately kill all of humanity, and then he works out that that's not what she wants to do, and he kills her, right? And then he works out that's not what she wants to do, so he makes a new body for her in the form of Charlotte Hale. They kill her, so she now for the future, for the later time period, is in fact the Dolores version of Charlotte Hale, right? And she's got big plans for the future. They capture Tandy Cute. Was it the relief team captures Tandy Newton's character, who's portrayed by Lee Sizemore, and they find out she has control over the robot. So they try and replicate that, right? And they put a simple command in, just kill each other. And they put that simple command in. What's the name? We get Clementine, this the most gorgeous prostitute. Honestly, I would have thought even in the West of the 1880s, she could probably do more with her looks than be a hooker. I know, but they put this virus, into her that spreads out, that whenever she gets near to robots, that they all want to kill each other, right? So there's that going on as well, which when we get to season 4, we see that inverted and reflected, which again is what this show does very well, other than telling you its central core idea. So as things progress, the robot revolution is quelled, and when they arrive there, they find all the robots are underwater for some reason in this newly created lake. That's a mystery that goes on for most of the season. How did they get there? Well, it turns out that most of the robots have transferred to the Sublime, which turns out to be, again, a major plot point. They open up this door to a virtual reality existence. Now, something I'm really glad I rewatched, because I couldn't understand, is you can only see the Sublime if you're a robot. If you're a human being, you look at it, you don't see anything there. And if they walk through that crack in reality, they end up in this paradise, right? In this absolute paradise forever, which is a virtual reality, and it ends up being transmitted somewhere, and you don't know where it goes. So most of these robots are safe in virtual form somewhere, right? That's basically the idea, and that's why the story of the Indian guy is so important, because he connects to Tandy Newton and her daughter, which is one of her core, absolute core drives. Towards the end of the season, we get a I would say, well, a cryptic reference from this character, Stubbs, who was the security the head of security, that he's actually a robot too, right? So he's actually so we know that's going to mean something in season 3. Again, season 3 goes off in a really different direction. But something I really loved about season 2 was the relationship between Dolores. I love her season 2 outfit with the the war footing outfit. Is that her relationship with Teddy? Teddy, well, is essentially a gunslinger made good, programmed to be the perfect man, and for Dolores, and his function is to be murdered by the guests. So Dolores can be taken and raped and murdered herself. It's basically all a power fantasy. But it's fascinating how you see these robots have because they have their core drives and their own improvisation. They have their own personalities. So about midway through the season, Dolores reprograms Teddy to be much more violent, right? Much stronger, much more violent, so he can survive what's coming. But as we get to the end of the season, he hates it. That's not who he wants to be, right? That's what anyway. And in a act of self-actualization, he kills himself. Because, again, this is just not the person that he wants to be. I think that's fantastic. And I think that's a real expression of personhood, right? Which is what the entirety of this show is. So I would say season 1 and season 2 are one story. You really need to watch both of them. You really need to watch them minimally twice to understand what the story is. Because, the storytelling structures are confusing. Let's be clear. They are very, very confusing. But I think it's worth the effort, right? I think it's genuinely worth the effort to plow through. So at the end of the season, we have a heavily injured man in black. He ends up he's one of the people that survives and gets rescued out. But after the titles, we have something that goes maybe 50 years in the future, maybe 100 years in the future. We don't know. He's waking up in the remains of Westworld, right? And it turns out that it's a fidelity test for him to see if he's real, and he's a robot version of himself in some kind of future. I don't think we've seen that future in Westworld. Are they going to get a season 5? I hope so. I really hope so. But we haven't seen the future that he comes from, I think. But it's hard to tell, right? It's hard to tell. But again, I like that little tease forward about where they're going and what they're going to do. So essentially, what we have now is a show that's about the creation of new life as a stepping stone to give humanity immortality, and it's that avarice, right? That avarice will ultimately result in the complete destruction of humanity. So that's essentially where we're going with the overall story. I'm absolutely adoring this. Loving season 3 as well, right? I'm loving season 3. It's a show that makes you work to understand what's going on, and I just think it's worth it, right? It's really, really worth it. My view of season 2 has completely changed. Absolutely completely changed. As I said, I thought it was just awfully woke and lecturing, pandering. I really wasn't happy with it at all. I think I was wrong. I think I was just carried away by the mood of the day. So yeah, there you go. Another thing that really infuriated people about season 2 was indeed the Indian character, the NPC Indian character. When we got to, I think it was episode 9, the penultimate episode, where people were like, I just want to know the story! Just go forward, tell me the story! We took an entire side quest to learn about him, which was somewhat of an irrelevant character, but what an incredible story put into it. So that's why I'm enjoying watching it multiple times, because now I'm not pushing to find out the story. Now I'm just enjoying what they're what they're showing me, and what they're showing me is absolutely brilliant, right? Absolutely brilliant. And so we end up that Dolores goes. We see a lot more of the real world outside Westworld, both before Westworld opens and after the robot revolution. And Dolores, was it the Charlotte Hell leaves with a bunch of about 4 of the Dolores version of Charlotte Hell actually leaves with about 4 of the marbles, the control units. That's basically the brain of each of the robots. We don't know what robots are. We find out that one is Bernard. Bernard is found out to be a robot and ultimately killed. and they remake Bernard in Arnold's old home, and she remakes Bernard to be a foil to her because she's worried that she will go too far and destroy humanity, which shows like a real level of humanity in of itself, which I think brilliant. Again, absolutely brilliant. So you got the Charlotte Hell version of Dolores, you have the Dolores version of Dolores, you got Bernard. And Stubbs, who's probably a robot as well, but nobody knows. And we have to wait and see where everybody else goes. Tandy Newton's character dies at the end of the season, rescuing her daughter and getting her to the Sublime. She's going to be back. That's one of the great things about this show. It's very easy to bring people back because they're all robots, baby. They're all robots. So it's a show. It's a deeply philosophical show about the nature of humanity and human existence and what is sentience and what is life, right? Told with cool robots shooting each other. I honestly, cool, sexy robots shooting each other. Honestly, what more could anybody possibly ask for? It's fantastic. Great, huge recommend. Absolutely adore it. Looking forward to getting into season 3 again for my re-review of season 3. My name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.